We're live.
Live. We need Ed McMahon or something in here. But this time, look what I brought. I brought the crystal ball instead of you.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's impressive,
I kind of like that. Funny that I found that in a drawer.
right? So
When
I hit the countdown from 30 to like 0 for the countdown for the show, right?
Yeah.
And then I forgot to hit go live until we get to 3 seconds.
And you're the technical one.
So the only people who actually saw the countdown was you and me.
But we enjoyed it.
You want to do the countdown again?
No. No. Hey, today is a special day. It's episode 4.
That is episode.
Yes. Well, I figured let's stick with the theme we got working.
Right.
Also, guess what happened 31 years ago today?
31.
31 years ago today.
9/11.
O.J. Simpson in a slow speed Bronco chase. And the reason I remember that is because A, it's my oldest daughter's birthday.
Happy birthday, daughter.
And on that particular day, I had dropped her off at my mom's in Ohio.
Right.
And went driving because I was doing shows in Pennsylvania. And when I pulled into the hotel, they go, "Oh, get your TV on. They're going to arrest O.J. Simpson for the murder of his wife." And I go, "What?" I've been in a car. I drove from Florida to Ohio to Pennsylvania, but I went in there and I got to watch the slow speed chase. So that was 31 years ago.
Wow.
I feel older than dirt. Not only that, but my oldest child is now older than what I tell people I am. So I don't know how I'm going to explain that.
My mom was 29 years old until my oldest sister was 29 years old. And then what my mom did was, because she had 4 kids, right? 3 daughters and myself. So what she did was when my oldest sister turned 29, my mom ended up having 3 kids. She just didn't tell anybody about the 29-year-old.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Actually, I don't lie about my age. I always kind of thought that was very kind of silly.
My mom was very vain about her age.
Now I'm kind of.
My mom sent a friend to my show, right?
Oh.
And she sent a friend to my show in Phoenix, Tempe, and she goes, "If this guy comes up to you," I go, "Yeah," and he asks you how many sisters you have 2.
Well, that's better than what my mom did. My mom, when I worked in Dayton, Ohio, which is outside of my hometown, right? I worked Jokers in Dayton, and my mom said, "I'm bringing some friends, and we're coming to the show on Saturday night." And I go, "Oh, that's okay, I guess." And she shows up, and she goes, "This is my Sunday school class." Well, there's good news. And it's one of those nights. It's a crazy Saturday night. And a guy yells at me before I ever made it to the microphone.
Oh, wow.
So at that point, I have to decide whether I'm going to please an entire audience by mutilating this guy or whether I'm going to make the Sunday school happy. And I figured the Sunday school is not going to be happy by the time I get finished anyway. So I just let him have it, and they got to do they seem to be okay with it,
The nice thing is the Sunday school group
learned a lot of new words.
They are the kind of people that should turn the other cheek.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that night they would have had to turn all the cheeks because
Yeah.
that's one of those crazy nights. But oh, and speaking of which, I want to say thank you to your friend Mark that sent that email to, I guess, kind of to us, or sent it to you that sent it to me. I thought those were really nice suggestions. I thought he was really sweet about it. And here's the problem with one of the suggestions where Mark said we should put bits of ours, maybe like video segments in. We're
Right.
trying to stay on the air. And in order to put some of mine on, we might have to beep because, well, let's just say that one of us has a foul mouth. I'm not going to say whether it's Flip or I, but
No, both of us have a foul mouth. Only one of us has some clips that doesn't demonstrate that.
yes, I worked really hard to find a 3-minute clip that wasn't horrible. But well, for one thing, the only tape, video, whatever you want to call it, on my show that I have is really the last show. Other than that, everything else is all packed up. You
Right.
know, because I'm in the process of trying to not be here anymore. I'm trying to
She
be
doesn't mean on the
somewhere.
planet. She means in the location in which she's living right now.
Well, I'm not thrilled about the planet sometimes either, so I'm willing to, you know,
Entertain other offers.
you
So,
know.
by the way, this is Mark from Dallas. I'm not using your last name on purpose, Mark. But Mark's really good with technology and computers and this, that, and anyway, he made some recommendations. So, for instance, this is the first episode where you're seeing down there where it has the name of the podcast, the episode, and then the date. And so that way, if you're looking at this later, you'll know when it was done. Now, in addition to that, we're looking at maybe getting some intro videos and some outro videos. But
We'll be.
that's
I think we can do that when we're out on the road. I
yeah.
think we should wait till our road trip to do that.
But I mean, not to sound cheap, but I think to actually utilize them, we're going to actually have to do the higher paid version.
Well, let's see if anybody ever tunes in to watch us besides us.
Oh my God, that's that's a good point.
Well, because here's my thing. I go back and I watch the podcast, and I do it intentionally. Do you know why? To see exactly how long it took you to get me off the rails. Because tonight you did it before the podcast come on. I just had time to get myself together.
Compose yourself.
Just a little composure. Because you usually have something up your sleeve, but I give you a lot of credit. You've been pretty sick this week.
It's been frustrating. I mean, nothing horrible, just nagging. It's been aggravating.
I know you've been aggravated, but once again, thus the title of the show, Road Comic Adventures. There's nothing better than being sick and going, I don't have to travel this week.
Right.
That's what I'm thankful for, is you didn't have to go out on the road. And yesterday I wasn't going anyplace either because I had some kind of stomach bug going on. And
There
I
was a
thought
lot of that going around.
Yeah, I felt like I was on a boat most of the day. It was not a fun day. Don't start. We've been analyzing different TV shows and different characters, and we found some wiggle. Was I wiggling? Is that why you did that?
No, that was your stomach being on the boat. I was doing an impression of your tummy.
Yeah. Well, see, that would have really been funny yesterday.
Right.
Yeah. I was not in good shape. Where's
So,
Jeremiah? We've lost Jeremiah.
boy, you know there's a problem there. So round robin set of questions. Well, at least one question. Let's start with this. You've done corporate days, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I learned how not to say bad words.
Do you have any did you have any gigs that sort of went south that were corporate dates?
Oh yeah. I got
Without,
hired by an attorney's firm, and they were divorce attorneys. And I go, "Oh my God, these are my people. This is going to be great." So the wife of one of the partners is the one hiring me. And and I said, I'm well aware of corporate, blah, blah, blah. They want me to do 45 minutes. It's this big swanky place in Orlando. Okay. They're giving me a hotel room for the night. I mean, it's like 15 minutes from my house. And they're still giving you a hotel room, and I'm making a ton of money. I was very happy. Until I got to the gig and I met the husband of the woman who had hired me. And he goes, "Hey, just to let you know, I knows that she said that you think you need to be squeaky clean, but you don't." He goes, "We're attorneys. We want to get down and dirty and have some fun." I've been told that before at a corporate event, and loosely translated, they don't know what down and dirty by my standard is. So I go, okay, I can be a little risque. Until I meet the other partner, and he pulls me to the side and he goes, "Now I hope you're planning on being very clean." And I said, "Well, I was planning on that." And he goes, "Good, because we're good, ethical attorneys." So already I know it's going to be a nightmare. Somebody's not going to be thrilled.
Yeah.
So I figure I'll walk a fine line, not a big deal, until I see the room where they're going to put me. And it's basically like this weird stage that they have put up in this banquet room. And the guy goes, "Are you ready to go now?" And I said, "Sure, no problem. I'm ready to go." 45 minutes. I look at my watch because there's not going to be a lot of overtime. So I get up on stage, I start, and as I start my set, I look in the back of the room, and the staff is setting up the buffet. And I'm like, oh no, because right in the middle of this, everybody's going to get up and eat. And quite honestly, you just have to say it, these things. It doesn't make any difference. Except they're going to think the show sucked. And it didn't suck because of me, it's because of them. You can't just have a bunch of people get up. Well, they didn't just have a bunch of people came up. One of the partners walks right up to the stage in the middle of a joke and goes, so I lean over and he goes, "Can you tell them if they want to start getting their dinner, they can?" "Sure, not a problem. Not a problem." And all I could think of was I just kept looking at the check and thinking how much the check was and go, "This is the kind of gig you do for the money, because they're never going to hire you again. This is a nightmare." It was a nightmare for me. They didn't have a great time. I know they didn't have a great time because they were busy getting their food. They didn't hear any of the joke.
Right.
You have a bad corporate gig?
Well, luckily we're doing usually about an hour, so two of them just started out. The introductions were funny to me. I don't remember the companies, and even if I did, I wouldn't say them. And I'm not going to use names. So whatever names I use are made up.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
As your manager, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm doing a corporate event, like a Christmas party, whatever, and 400 or 500 people in the room. and the CEO is going to get up to introduce me. And he goes, he gets up to the microphone and he goes, "All right, before the entertainment, I know a lot of you are worried about Miss Mary in the corporate headquarters. Well, she had a stroke and she just passed away about an hour ago. So let's go ahead and bow our head in silent prayer for Mary." And now Flip Orley.
Yeah, there's a real crowd starter for you.
Yeah. So the next one, corporate event, hundreds of people. The CEO gets up and he goes, "All right, I just want to say to all of you here tonight, the quarterly numbers have come in and the quarterly numbers suck. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't get those numbers up in the next quarter, pink slips are going out." Now, comic hypnotist Flip Orley.
You know, the general public has no idea what a good show really takes. It takes the right introduction. It takes the right seating arrangement. There's a lot that goes into a good show. Unfortunately, none of that is considered during corporate work.
No.
And I find it funny because, these comics call me because they think because I'm booking you, I'm booking everybody in the freaking world. All of a sudden. And they'll go, "Hey, if you get any corporate work, I'm ready to do that." Really? So I always ask them, what were the last 4 corporate gigs you did? And they go, "Well, I haven't done any yet, but I can do them." Well, how do you know you can do them? Well, because I can work clean. Oh, that's not all there is to it.
That's a step in the right direction.
Well, maybe. I'm not so sure throwing around some profanity wouldn't hurt at some of these places, but it's so funny that they think they're entitled to the corporate work because it pays the most money. So they just assume if they don't use the F word that they're entitled to that. But some of them think they're entitled to any work at all, and they're really not ready for any of it yet.
Yeah. I did a car company, like a dealership, right?
Yeah.
Christmas party. So they go, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome comic hypnotist Flip Orley," right? So I get up there and I go, "Hey, how you guys doing?" And from the back of the room, I heard, "F you, F you," back at like 2 different voices yelling at each other, not at me. "F you, F you," like just throwing the F bomb around, right? I'm sitting up on stage with the microphone just going, right? And all of a sudden, a melee breaks out. Like fist fight, tables turning, people screaming. And they finally, a bunch of people rush in and they pull the fighters apart and they set the tables back up again. And a gal in the front row just goes to me, she goes, "Go ahead, do your comedy sketches." And I'm on the microphone. It's like, I don't know if this is recoverable. I'm like, "Oh, come on, just don't be a baby." So I go, "I'm here anyway, all right, what the heck? Anyway, how y'all doing?" And I hear this guy goes, "You can take your effing Chevrolet and shove it up your effing ass. F you, F you, F you." And it broke back into like a big fist fight, more people involved. Tables flying, glassware breaking. I'm still on stage. I'm like, so they're starting to break it up, and I go on the microphone. I go, "Ladies and gentlemen, I don't mean to be a baby, but I was gonna make a go of it after the first one, but like I don't think it's gonna happen." And I set the mic down and I walked off stage. And I said to the guy who was DJing, I go, I can't believe this is like a corporate event. You got to believe that some people are going to get fired from this. And the DJ goes, oh, no, it shouldn't be any problem at all. That was the owner and his son-in-law.
I actually have a car dealership Christmas party that is kind of the same thing. In this huge auditorium, dance floor, big bar in the middle of it, and a stage way over on the left-hand side. So they tell me they're ready for me, and I said, are you going to call them towards the stage or anything? And they go, oh, yeah, which means no. They're not going to do anything. They just walked up and announced me, and I'm trying to yell across this vast room. And I'm looking at the DJ, and he's like, yeah, what are you going to do? So I did my time. I said, thank you, good night. And I left. And they called and complained to the booker, and they said, we don't know what she was doing. And the booker calls me on the phone, and here it is. It's like Saturday night. And I said, let me tell you what I was doing. I was reciting material because they were so far away, there was no way to reach these people. And I'm like, I did what I could do. And I go, if you don't understand that that's a lot of times the way corporate stuff goes, then, you have a big problem. And I go, and the check better clear, which
Right.
is always interesting too, because you never know. But then I've done other corporate events that couldn't have gone any better, where they'll let you just do what you do. Those are the ones I like.
I got to be honest, like 90, maybe 95% of my corporate events have been amazing. Honestly, from like Fortune 500 companies to smaller companies to privately owned companies, shows with 200 people, shows with 2,000 people. I mean, they've really gone well, but it just like how someone would go, before we start the show, we're going to let you know that a beloved person from corporate HQ passed away. And then to do a silent prayer. Like, I still, believe it or not, made the show work. But I can't say that was my favorite opening. I did a show for an 100-year-old insurance company where they got really drunk before the show started. They were lit. And so I mostly men, whatever. So I get a bunch of volunteers on stage, and they all take their shoes off. So, all right, whatever. And they go, we're not doing it until you take your shoes off. I'm like, well, I'm not taking my shoes off. They're like, we're not doing it until you take your shoes off. I'm not taking my shoes off. They go, then we're not doing it. So I took my shoes off, and then one of the guys jumped up, grabbed my shoes, and he ran away. And didn't come back. Stole my shoes.
Did you eventually get them back?
I got my shoes back. They sent me, the corporate headquarters sent me a gift basket, like over $100 gift basket, an apology note, and he let me know that people actually got in trouble.
If they only knew some of the stuff we do.
And I still made the show work. Like, I mean, that's when you get back to some of these people who go, I work clean, I can do a corporate event. It's like, how do you do the show when nobody comes and sits near the stage, when someone steals your shoes, when the CEO yells at people and tells them they're on the verge of being fired and now enjoy the entertainment? Yeah. I don't know.
Most of the people today, boy, do I sound like an old woman. But it's true. And the fact that I have been booking stuff for a while, I've learned a lot about the kids that are coming up and starting out, they think it's just a matter of walking up and being able to tell 15 minutes worth of jokes. There's so much more to comedy. And you see that when you see a really good comic as opposed to some that aren't so good. And you may not from an audience standpoint know what that is, but you and I could tell them what it is.
Right.
It's not having the experience. And well, it's like I told you one time, I was on one of the Kenran runs, and they were very excited because this was the first week for this particular club to ever have done comedy.
Uh-oh. It looks like I lost Rene. Let's see if she calls back. Oh, so one corporate date was booked like 3 or 4 months in advance. And it was going to be about 500 people. And we were set. All the details were straightened out and it was set. And we were excited about it. And then the day before the show, let's see. Yep. I'm waiting for Rene to call back in. So the day before the show, the CEO of the company calls up and he goes, I want to go through a couple things with you about the show tomorrow. And I go, okay. And I said, here's some bits that I was thinking about doing. And he stopped me and he goes, I don't want you to be entertaining. And I go, I beg your pardon? He goes, yeah, I don't want you to be entertaining. If I wanted to fly people in from all over the country, here we go. And we're back.
Well, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
So I was in the middle of a quick story stalling. So I was telling.
Well, go ahead. Let's hear you.
So I was booked for a corporate event, like 500 people, 3 or 4 months in advance. And then the night before the show, the CEO called me. I hadn't even flown to town yet to do the show. So the night before the show, he calls me up and he goes, I want to discuss the show. And I go, okay, here's some bits I thought I might do. That'd be fun. And he's like, I don't want you to be entertaining. I'm like, what? He goes, I'm not flying people here from around the country for you to entertain them. If I wanted them to be entertained, they could sit at home and watch TV. Well, yeah. He goes, basically, I want like you to be uplifting, like a speaker. I want you to do something
motivational. Speaker.
Motivational. I want you to be a motivational speaker. I'm like, oh, so like the show that I do, the show that I was booked for 4 months ago, the night before the show, you're telling me you don't want me to do what I do. You want me to do something else. And he goes, I don't want any of that. I want you to be a motivational speaker. I'm like, oh, no problem. And I didn't sleep that night. And I ended up with a tummy ache.
I bet.
And I got on the plane and I flew to town and I had no idea what I was going to do. And then I got up on stage and I winged it for 2 hours. And then the CEO came up to me after the show and he gave me a big bear hug and he goes, tear inside, tear. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Thank you so much. Night before the show.
And let me guess, you'd been doing it longer than 4 or 5 years? Doing comedy?
At that point, like 30, maybe 30 years.
Yes. Yeah.
So the
story I was gonna tell you was we go in to work this comedy club, and it's the first night of doing comedy, and I'm with another female comic. And she and I walk in, and there's a long runway, like for a fashion show, right into the middle of the floor. And At the end of the runway, they have the microphone set up. And I go, well, I guess that's where we're going to do comedy. And they go, yeah, this was a strip club until today. Wow. So the guy who goes, to introduce us goes, "We got a great show. We got 2 girls." And wait till you see the rack on the second one. That was our intro.
Nice.
Okay. No. Let me go home and put that on my comedy resume.
Right.
That's all we could do.
That's the thing. I mean, the funny thing is, most of the stories that you're going to tell and that I'm going to tell of the problems, the issues, the shit gigs, right? 99 times out of 100, we still made them work. We still figured it out, made them work. Like, for instance, the car dealership show, I did eventually realize I couldn't do the show. I mean, people's were bloody and their shirts and colors were pulled off and tables had been turned over, and I'm like, I don't think I can make it work. But everything else, you sort of just figure out a way to do it.
Well, see, it's funny that you talk about that. Having a way to do it, because that's what I was trying to explain to a comic that had called me one day last week. And he goes, "I know you're booking Flip into the theaters. I would like to get booked into theaters too. So can you get me in?" And first of all, I love it that they just think that I miraculously have created these theaters for you to work. This is it's they know it isn't easy. That's why they won't go and do it, right?
Yeah.
But you have the perfect act for a theater. You should have been in theaters years ago. And I said to him, he has a theater type act. You're straight stand up. You don't need a theater environment for your show. And he goes, "Yeah, but I can make it work." No, Flip's been making it work in clubs for 40 years. Now it's his turn. It's his time to be put on a stage that's right for his show. And he doesn't have to make it work. It'll work beautifully because that's where it's supposed to be. I want you in the theaters.
I appreciate that. And I mean, truth be told, as you know, I haven't done thousands of theaters, but I've done a number of them. And it really is a good fit. I mean, I do have the track record that has proven to me time and time again. It's a good fit. It just is.
It's a great fit. And, you know, as we spoke about earlier this week, you and I, we don't exactly know what happened, except one day you said something about working theaters, and I go, "Well, yeah." And then you showed me a video of a theater, and then we were on tour doing theaters.
I mean, it was literally that simple, a story.
Yeah. And I think that's when things are right. They're just right for it. And I mean, I will tell you right now, I'm waiting for a theater that I've been working on for a couple of weeks, that the guy's going to call me back sometime later this evening. If he calls me right now, you're back to being on your own, because I'm going outside and taking the call, because I'm booking the room, you know. Nothing gets in the way of those bookings. And
I'm good with that. I will figure out another story to tell.
I do laugh at the other comics, though, that just think that, well, if you're doing one comic, you can do the bunch. No, you are a handful. I have my hands full taking care of you. Let's just keep you working. And, you know, and the ones that have been really nasty to me, and there have been several, I will tell them this: they're probably not going to see the inside of any theater I ever get to book.
You know, I mean, so that's the thing I don't understand. And don't get me wrong. I think, and I've mentioned this to you before, those who know me know that you know, I don't I don't get angry often. I don't get angry easy. But I do have a temper. I have been provoked. I have said some things on a rare occasion, luckily on a rare occasion, that I've regretted. And I've said some things in the past, rarely, thankfully, that have ended up biting me in the butt. You know, and the person whose fault it was me. It was my fault. I let something get the best of me. I lost my temper. I said something I shouldn't have. And when it turned around to bite me in the ass, I was unhappy about it. But the person I blamed was me. It was my fault. And so you know, to people in general, but to comics specifically, when you're talking to other comics, but bookers, club owners, Rene, they may not tell you what you want to hear. And you don't have to be happy about it, but like if you can avoid burning the bridge, which I've learned, I've burned a couple bridges, unfortunately. If you can avoid burning the bridge, you're better off because you never know what might happen tomorrow. You know, you never know if a gig falls into Renee's lap that's not right for me and she can plug someone else in. But if you've told her ostensibly to go F herself, why would she call you if a gig fell into her lap? You know? So I have, and you know, I'm older now. I was more of a hothead when I was in my 30s or 20s. But I've learned the hard way. You know, sometimes the best course of action is just go, I'm really disappointed. I wish you had given me better news. Good luck, you know, with your ventures. And if I can ever, you know, if something ever comes your way, I'd love to hear from you. And just leave it there.
Right. Some of them are just so silly. Or like the kid that, well, he's not a kid because I think he's in his 40s, but he's a guy that calls me this week and he goes, I watched your podcast and I know you're managing that one guy. Will you manage me? And I go, well, what do you have to manage? And he goes, well, I'm going to quit my job this week and do comedy full time. Well, first of all, no, you're not. That's not the way this works. I keep thinking about that commercial where the lady goes, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Where you think you're going to say, I don't do this job today. I'm a comedian, and you go out and do it. I mean, granted, I got lucky and sort of pulled that off, but I was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, you're definitely the exception to the rule.
And this guy thinks he's going to do this. And he told me the same story 5 years ago. And I just really wish in all these comedy classes and comedy workshops and books that all these comedians are writing about how to do comedy, they don't really tell them the reality of it. And the reality of doing comedy is you have to do it for a while before anybody's ever going to pay you to do it. And to be able to do it on a consistent basis. And quite honestly, I'm not sure right now that the comedy world is where you could be consistently working unless you're really ready to hit the road and go like wildfire.
Right. I don't know the comedy scene the way that I used to. I mean, in the day when I started, again, I started in Phoenix, and they had open mic nights 7 nights a week. I mean, you had to drive. It was all in the same county, right? You didn't have to leave the state, you know, but you were up on stage every night, and you know, a lot of times working on the same set, and occasionally adding in like 3 more minutes, or 4 more minutes, or 2 more minutes. And I really understood that scene because I was immersed in it. And then when I got on the road, I really understood that scene because I was immersed in it. And that's finding the sort of the less prestigious, like, I mean, in the day when I was working, like the improvs were the A rooms, right? The Punchline Atlanta, the improvs, Cobb's Comedy Club, I think, in San Francisco. Um, the ones in New York from Dangerfields and the Cellar, and I mean, even if they weren't A rooms, they were like the really rooms that people wanted to work. There was a couple rooms in Boston, but again, when I started, I was dealing with a guy out of Texas who would book weekends and one-nighters and this thing, and he would string together a tour. Ken ran. And then, the guy in the Northwest, David Tribble, and he would do Idaho, Washington, Oregon. I want to say Montana or Wyoming, I think.
I think so too.
The John Yoder gigs, which were sort of Midwestern.
Right.
The Tom Sobel gig, and Tom Sobel had a great room in Kentucky.
Oh, he had a great room. The Funny Farm in Louisville.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, the great club. But then he also had the Comedy Caravan, which were 29 one-nighters in a row.
Yeah. And I never worked Louisville, but I worked the Caravan. And so I knew that situation. I mean, I was immersed in it. I worked in Pennsylvania with a guy by the name of Big Daddy Graham. Did you ever hear of him? Big Daddy Graham?
No.
He was a booker. I don't know. So the Comedy Zone chain, the Coconuts chain. So you sort of work your way in there, and so I knew that world really, really well. I was immersed in it, and it's a different world now. I mean, I mean, you've now since retired after 30 years. I've been doing this for 40, and so I'm not looking for local one-nighters. So things have changed a lot, and social media's changed things a tremendous amount. It used to be that comedy was so hot that people would just go to a club no matter what. And then it got to be if you had like a network show like Johnny Carson,
Right.
that would vault you to being a headliner, and that would fill a club that you would go to. And now, I mean, I think everybody's sort of racing to figure it out. And if you're not a TikTok star, YouTube sensation, Instagram star, I think people are trying to scramble to figure it out.
Well, and I think it's pretty sad because a lot of these TikTok stars that are doing their little sketch comedy, and they do some little sketch and people will come out and see them, and then they go, well, that wasn't like a comedy show. Well, you're right, it wasn't a comedy show, and now they're not coming back to the comedy clubs. And I think even some of the comedy clubs don't know what they're doing anymore, let alone the comedians.
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenging environment. There used to be a time where comics and clubs had like a mailing list, and they would send out like postcards.
Yeah.
Boy, that got expensive. That was crazy. And then it got to be an email list, which I know a lot have, and then a MySpace whatever, and then it became a Facebook this deal, and then I mean, technology keeps moving that you have to sort of be ahead of it to know how to market and how to get people into clubs.
And here's how far ahead of it we are. We're going to finally do some social media in September.
Right.
Hey, I'm okay with that. I kind of like what we're doing. Are you looking forward to our road trip? Seriously?
More than you know. Yeah, more than you know.
We've added another night.
Is that confirmed?
Well, I haven't got the letter yet, but the guy told me he's sending me the letter. I kind of believe him.
Right.
Yeah. The Arts in Hobart, Indiana.
So there's that. I know we're waiting on 4 or 5 others for that run.
Yeah, for that whole run. And quite honestly, if they come through, I'll be thrilled out of my mind. I have learned that theaters are just a little crazy.
Right. And they have their own schedule and way of doing things, which is really surprisingly very different from comedy clubs.
Very different, which surprised me because, obviously when they go, we want you on this date. Okay. And they go, we'll get back to you. What? Wait, you have me on the phone now. I have him committed to this.
Right.
What are we doing? And I go, we get back to you. We got to talk to this one. We got to,
Well, that's the other thing that's really interesting. Comedy clubs, normally the owner books it, or the manager books it, or the booker books it.
Yeah.
And that's the only person they need to talk to is themselves. Theaters, it's usually like a committee.
The board of directors, or God forbid, some of these cities are buying the theaters,
Right.
like all of these older theaters. And now you got to go through city councilman to get you in.
Right.
I've got to make you look presentable.
It's not that any of that is bad. The committee, the board, the city councils, it's not as bad. It's a different booking system, and it takes a little bit longer.
It does take a while, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But what people don't realize either is when we do go on the road, we have other things that we're doing as well.
Yeah. A few things a few we've planned. A few things have fallen into our lap.
Yeah, we're very lucky. A few things we've actually remembered in the last couple of days.
Yeah, good call.
But I don't know. This will be really different for me to travel with somebody I enjoy spending time with, whose show I can watch 1,000 times, and God knows I have, because I watch all the videos, and send them out, and I enjoy it over and over and over again. And plus, we're going to new places, and essentially, we're starting you over at the beginning again. You're starting at the beginning of theaters.
Yeah.
And I think it's also very exciting. And it's also very exciting that we're doing the documentary about you and road comedy. Yeah. Try to pull that off for maybe, if I can get 3 minutes of that on video, I'll be thrilled out of my mind. See, you might be able to pull that on everybody else, but I know you. So I know what I'm looking at.
I'm excited about the documentary and comedy and the road life and the places that we booked and are sort of in the process of getting booked. I think it'll be fun, and I hope it'll be interesting viewing.
I think it'll be a lot of fun, and we're even going to try our hand at something we've never done before, but we seem to be pretty good at it.
I know that sounds like a tease, and it is, and unfortunately, we can't provide any more detail.
No, but hopefully they'll know soon enough. I think you've had your fingers crossed, or you were okay. Yeah, see at that angle, I have to try to decide which signal you're giving me. Although you're always very much a gentleman.
Try to be.
You are.
Although, hey, for those of you guys out there, if you want to go old school, if you want to be an old school gentleman, the quickest way to mess up your chivalry is if you open up the car door or some other door for another person. In this case, for me, it was for a woman. If you shut the door before they're actually fully in, it really ruins the effect. I shut the door on this woman. She was 2/3 the way in the car. I don't know why I didn't realize she was fully in the car, but anyway, there was two ways that I realized I had made a mistake. First, the screen, and then second, the fact that like the door didn't close all the way because there seemed to be an obstruction.
And for anybody that's wondering, no, it wasn't me. We haven't. How fun. I just something else that's really funny. We've never been in a car together.
Ooh,
Not only have we not been in a car together in 35 years, we've
not
never
ever.
been in a car together. So let me get this straight. We've decided to get in the car together and go from, well, the gig will start in Marion County, Ocala, Florida. That's
Right.
your first theater. I did not book that one, somebody else did. And then we go from there to Hobart, Indiana, which is what, 1,000 miles?
Gotta be.
Then we go another 3 hours into Holland, Michigan. And as it stands now, then we're driving another 5 hours to get to West Virginia. And we're doing it with the dog.
90-pound German Shepherd.
And we somehow not only think we're going to pull this off, but we're I'm thrilled about going.
Yeah, no, I
I'm
think it's
really excited about this. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I hope you don't push me down some kind of horrible mountain in West Virginia while we're out filming the beautiful leaves.
Well, if you think I'm going to admit to planning something like that on a podcast, you think I'm crazy.
Well, nobody's ever accused you of being sane, so. No,
No,
have my kids given you any money? That's what I want to know.
beg your pardon?
I said if the kids start giving you money, I'd start worrying about what they were planning.
That's funny. Yeah, I think we're good. I mean, I think we're okay.
I think we're going to be fine. Well,
Two of your kids have never talked to me directly, but all three of your kids have all been very, very nice to me.
yeah, well, first of all, my son's thrilled that you're in the picture. And here's why. It takes a ton of heat off of him. Because my son and I share a house together. So now he doesn't have to talk to me as much because I'm on the phone with Flo. Here's what I've also realized since you came into the picture. I am no longer the judge of what's funny in the house. He'll go, hey, Mom, I wrote this joke, and this is my son, of course, saying he wrote a joke, and he goes, will you tell Flip what it is? And then let me know if he thinks it's funny. And I'll go, well, I thought it was pretty funny. And he goes, yeah. Let me know what Flip thinks. And I'm like, well, there's male bonding in its best. So
Right?
yeah.
So
And you have a wonderful kid. Your son's a doll. He's very.
You know what's really funny? Since the advent of social media, I don't think I've ever mentioned his name. I've never put a picture of him on any social media platform, and I actually tell very few stories about him. Can you believe it?
Yeah. Because, well, it's just like when I got Facebook. Facebook does the whole family thing where you name your family. My kids went through enough of that when they traveled with me when they were a kid. Because in the summers they were on the road with me.
Right.
And, we'd go to the pool the next morning at the hotel and people would come out and go, oh, your mom is so funny, blah, blah, blah. And they would go through the question. Yeah, we know she's fun. Yeah. Yeah, we have a good time. Yeah. And they would just be like, do we have to do this? And well, yeah, this is kind of part of it, but my kids didn't sign up to be in the entertainment business.
Right.
So I've always kind of tried, to keep them out of it. And I think you've been smart to do the same thing with your son. But he's a great kid.
I like you have. I don't know them. I just know stories about them, and also what they've done for me. You have very lovely kids, very nice kids. You got lucky. I got lucky. I got a great kid. He's a hoot.
He is a hoot. Yeah, he really is. We did pretty good, actually. Well, not we, because
Not together.
No,
Separately. I did really good with the petri dish.
I'm not going there. I'm just not even going there. Well, we have been on for almost an hour.
True.
What I think is funny is there are nights when you and I can talk until it seems like we have nothing to talk about hardly until like 11 o'clock. And then something will spark and we'll talk for another hour or so. But for some reason, Tuesday nights, we get off the podcast and I'm like, I'm exhausted. First of all, I had to get dressed out of my pajamas, because that's how I work. Or we're shed the other day. I was talking to somebody while I was in the bathtub. I don't care. I know what dates you've got open.
Right.
I can do it from the bathtub. I don't mind. I have fun doing this. I've wanted to do a podcast since I think I told you 2011. I found an article that I had looked up about how to do a podcast because I wanted to do one and never found somebody I wanted to do it with until,
Well, Mark, we're working on a few things. We're going to try to work in doing like 3 segments. We're not there yet.
You'll never see much of my act, Mark.
I don't know if we're going to put clips of the act, but we're going to probably have like some kind of a opening. And we have this here, right? So you can see what it is. So we're working on it, and we appreciate your suggestions.
And we have our names underneath us.
Right. So let's see. If you want to, if you want to watch our podcasts live, you can usually watch them on YouTube Tuesdays, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central, 4 o'clock Pacific. You can also look us up on, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and X at Road Comics Adventures.
Very good.
All true, right?
Right.
My stuff, email flip@fliporley.com, website fliporley.com, and this may come as a surprise, but Instagram, Twitter, X, YouTube, and Facebook is also Flip Orley. And believe it or not, I got a TikTok account set up, and I'm probably going to start making TikToks. It may not even be until September. I don't know if we're going to do Flip Orley TikToks or if we're going to do Road Comics Adventures TikToks, but I think we're going to do TikToks.
Okay. The other thing is, if you want to like and subscribe to our podcasts, it helps. I don't know what it helps. Please don't make me pretend like I know what the hell I'm talking about, because I don't.
I'm going to use a term that I've heard before. It helps the algorithms.
Okay. We'll do the algorithms.
So yeah, I mean, any of our pages, whether any of those social media platforms, if you like, share, subscribe, get the word out, help us get some eyeballs or followers or friends or whatever. We'd appreciate it.
And quite honestly, I'm okay just getting to spend an hour with you every week until I either get moved or whatever we wind up doing. I don't know. Whatever happens.
All right, young lady, we're at an hour.
Let's go. I'd like to say I got other stuff to do, but also I've got some more work to do, but that's all right.
I'm gonna do stuff. I don't know what that is. I'm doing stuff. Anyway, to all of you, whether
Thank you.
watching live, which that's probably not going to be a lot of you, or those of you who are watching this later after it's been recorded and uploaded, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
We do appreciate it. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, here we go. There it is, and we're out.